Hi everyone. Today we are discussing about semi-solid dosage form. So previously we have discussed about dosage form definitions, types, and mechanism of drug penetration, factors influencing penetration, and semi-solid bases and their selections. Today we are discussing about general formulation of semi-solids. You want some ingredients to preparation of semi-solid dosage form. First one is bases and preservatives, humectants, antioxidants, emulsifier, gelling agents, permeation enhancer, and buffers. Bases. It is one of the most important ingredient used in the formulation of semi-solid dosage form. Amendments and suppository base do not merely act as the carrier of the medicaments, but they also control the extent of absorption of medicaments incorporated with them. These bases have some ideal properties. They should be compatible with skin, pH and drug, inert, non-irritating and non-sensitizing, good solvent and emulsifying agent, emollient, protective, non-greasy and easily removable, release medicaments easily at the site of administration, and finally pharmaceutical elegant and possesses good stability. We have some different types of bases like water soluble base, emulsion base, absorption base and oleaginous base. Or water soluble bases examples are polyethylene glycol ointment. Emulsion bases examples are we have two types, water in oil and oil in water. Water in oil examples are cold cream like petrolatum rose water ointment, and oil in water examples are hydrophilic ointment. And third one is absorption bases. Absorption bases examples are hydrophilic petrolatum. And finally, oleaginous bases. Oleaginous bases examples are hydrocarbons like mineral oils, petrolatoms, paraffins, waxes. And second examples are animal fats or vegetable oils like castor oil, olive oil, etc. Next, synthetic esters like glyceryl monostearate, butyl stearate, isopropyl lanolate, and stearyl alcohol. The main important ingredient in preparation of semi-solid dosage form is preservatives. The preservative definition is a chemical substance used to preserve organic substance from decay or spoilage by preventing microbial attack. In pharmaceutical preservatives are the chemical substances used to improve or amplify shelf life of drugs by decreasing or lowering the oxidation of active and excipients and by reducing microbial protection. So next, why we are using preservatives? So mainly to protect our drug from microbial attack, to stabilize our product, and to increase shelf life of our product, and finally to enhance activity and efficacy of drug. So what are the ideal properties of the preservatives? It is effective and stable, non-toxic and non-reactive, and compatible with drug components, and odorless and cost effective and highly soluble, and finally it is a tasteless. We are commonly used preservatives like methyl hydroxybenzoate and propyl hydroxybenzoate and benzoic acid, and finally phenyl mercuric nitrate. Next one is antioxidant. Antioxidants are substances that can prevent or slow damage to cells caused by free radicals, unstable molecules that the body produces as a reaction to environmental and other pressures. There are, they are sometimes called free radicals. The main sources of antioxidants can be natural or artificial. Certain plant-based foods are thought to be rich in antioxidants. Plant-based antioxidants are a kind of phytonutrient or plant-based nutrient. The body also produces some antioxidants known as endogenous antioxidants. Antioxidants that come from outside the body are called exogenous. Free radicals are waste substances produced by cells as the body processes food and reacts to the environment. If the body cannot process and remove free radicals efficiently, oxidative stress can result. This can harm cells and body function. Free radicals are also known as reactive oxygen species, also called as ROS. Factors that increases the production of free radicals in the body can be internal, such as inflammation, or external, for example pollution, UV exposure, and cigarette smoke. Oxidative stress been linked to heart diseases, cancer, arthritis, stroke, respiratory diseases, immunodeficiency, and Parkinson's diseases, and other inflammatory or unhealthy conditions. Antioxidants are said to help neutralize free radicals in our bodies, and this is thought to boost overall health. So that's why the prevent this antioxidant are added. Examples are butylated hydroxy anisole and butylated hydroxytoluene. So next one is humectant. So what is the humectant? You may have heard that humectants are good for your skin, hair, but why? A humectant is a common moisturizing agent found in lotions, shampoos, and other beauty products used for your hair and skin. They are known for their ability to retain moisture while also preserving the overall properties of the product at hand. Humectants can be good for your skin and hair, but not all humectants are created equal. It is also important to look out for the ingredients that can undo the benefits of the humectant in a particular product formula. So next, how do humectants work? You can think the humectants as the magnetics that attract water. They pull moisture from the air into the upper layer of your skin. Humectants work much in the same way when applied to your hair. They help your hair draw in and retain more moisture, but not all humectants work the same way. Some supply your skin and hair with moisture directly. Others help get rid and dead skin cells first to even out of the moisture levels in your skin. Plus, not all humectants are used interchangeably for skin and hair. This is why you will likely see as a difference in the humectants used in skin and hair products. So that's why the humectant is a hygroscopic substance. It is often a molecule with several hydrophilic groups, most often hydroxyl group. Humectants are used to increase the solubility of active ingredient, to elevate its skin preparation, and finally elevate the hydration of the skin. So next one is gelling agents. There are so many gelling agents are there. Some of the common ones are acacia, alginic acid, bentonite, carbopols, now known as carbomers, like carboxymethyl cellulose, ethyl cellulose, gelatin, hydroxyethyl cellulose, hydroxypropyl cellulose, magnesium aluminum salicylate. So these are gelling agents are available. So each gelling agent has some unique properties. There are some generalizations that can be made. If the gelling agents is added to the dispersing medium in a haphazard manner, there are a tendency for the agent to clump. The outer molecules of the gelling agent contact the medium first and hydrate, so forming a surface layer that is more difficult for the medium to penetrate. The clumps will be ultimately hydrate, but it will take more time. A much more efficient manner is to sieve the agents onto the surface of the medium a little at a time as the medium is stirred. Using glycerin as a wetting agent will sometimes minimize clumps formation. Some gelling agents are more soluble in cold water than in hot water. So methyl cellulose and poloxamers have better solubility in cold water, while bentonite, gelatin, and sodium carboxymethyl cellulose are more soluble in hot water. So carbomers, tragacanth, and alginic acid gels are made with tepid water. Some gelling agents like carbomers require a neutralizer or pH adjusting chemicals to create a gel after the gelling agents has been wetted in the dispersing medium. So most gelling agents requires 24 to 40 hours to completely hydrate and reach maximum viscosity and clarity. So gelling agents are used concentrations 0.5% to 10% depending on the agent. So it is easier to add the active drug before the gels formed before the gel is formed if the drug does not interference with the gel formation. So only carbopol 9,3-P or methyl cellulose hydroxyl methyl cellulose and sodium carboxy methyl cellulose are recommended for oral administration. Next one is emulsifier. Emulsifiers are additives that help two liquid mix. For example, water and oil separate in glass, but adding an emulsifier will help the liquids mix together. It is commonly used for different pharmaceutical products. Some examples of emulsifiers like acacia, tragacanth, agar, and emulsifiers belonging to the surfactants usually with the greasy loving like lipophilic and water loving like hydrophilic pot, which can nest around boundary layers between aqueous and greasy pots. Greasy and water repel each other, making an emulsion without emulsifier easily fall apart. An emulsifier prevents this rejection because it projects the water loving side towards the water and the fat loving side towards the fat. The extent to which the hydrophilic or lipophilic character dominates is represented by the HLB value of the surfactant. HLB value means hydrophilic lipophilic balance. A high HLB value means 10 to 18 indicates a hydrophilic substances suitable for the emulsifying fats or oils in water. Substances with low HLB like 3 to 8 are lipophilic and suitable for water in oil emulsions like cosmetics. Next one is buffers. A buffer is a solution that can resist pH change upon the addition of an acidic or basic components. It is able to neutralize small amounts of added acid or base, thus maintaining the pH of the solution relatively stable. This is a important for process and or reactions which require specific and stable pH ranges. Buffer solutions have a working pH range and capacity which dictate how much acid or base can be neutralized before pH changes and the amount by which it will change. But in semi-solid doses from preparation, we are using buffers for compatibility with the skin and drug solubility and drug stability. Buffers examples are sodium acetate, sodium citrate, and potassium metaphosphate. So these are the main ingredients to use in preparation of semi-solid dosage forms. In next class, we will discuss about method of preparation of semi-solid dosage forms. Thank you.